Hi, my name's Andy, and I'm going to talk about two different spaces. There's the space that the religious leaders create in John 9, and I call that contempt space. And there's the space that Jesus talks about in chapter 10, which we'll call life to the full space. Contempt space is the space that this man born blind, who's now been given his sight back by Jesus, finds himself in. It's a petty space, a rule-bound, dark, claustrophobic kind of space. Did you hear what the religious leaders said to him? We know you were born steeped in sin. Bit harsh, isn't it? You can hear the contempt dripping from their words, as powerful as if they'd spat in his face and let their saliva drip down his beard. We know you were born steeped in sin. Their point is that because this man was disabled, it must have been his fault. Disabled people are morally bad. I mean, it makes no logical sense. How could he possibly have done something before birth that could have offended God or anyone else? But when people despise the disabled, or the divergent, or the different, or the black, or the gay, or the poor, or the autistic, there aren't rational reasons for it. It doesn't make sense. But the contempt is no less real for that. I was a vicar for 13 years, so like many clergy, especially those with housing estates in their parish, I found myself regularly in the magistrate's court, accompanying one or another person who'd offended in some way and had no one else who could come and support them. And there were some good people in those courts, people who treated everyone with respect. But I have to tell you, I saw others in the court system who created contempt space there. You could see the contempt in their eyes, their tone of voice, even the way they looked away. The contemptuous aren't interested in the people they judge. In John 9, they don't want to hear this man's story. They don't empathize with how it feels to suddenly see colors and shapes where you never have before. They don't know his name, and that doesn't bother them. In contempt space, no one knows your name. No one cares when you scream. No one gets closer than they have to. Everyone wants to use you for something. In this case, they just want to use him to get to Jesus. And when he isn't useful, he can be discarded, expelled, thrown out, shunned. Contempt space is good at exclusion. We'll come on to the space in John 10 in a minute, and it will be like sunshine after darkness. But before we leave John 9, I think I need to recognize that some of us in this community know all about contempt space. We know what it feels like to be treated as less or as sinful because of a disability or a difference. It could be as simple as being told that your toddler is too noisy, that putting in a step for your wheelchair would be too costly, that if you attend with your partner, you shouldn't hold hands, that you'll be happier at the church down the road with other people who look like you, that you'll never be good enough to be part of this family. Or it could be subtler than that. I'm so sorry. Jesus came to provide an alternative to contempt space. And the alternative is a community where everybody knows your name, or if they don't, they'll learn it. This is a space, it's as if there's a massive banner at the front saying life to the full. There is light here, acceptance here, welcome here, inclusion here. The sun is shining and there's oxygen. Here, you don't get told you're a sinner from birth. You get told that you're loved. In life to the full space, you don't have to do anything in order to belong. You belong because you are loved. There is nothing you could ever do that could make God love you more, because he already loves you 100%. And there's nothing you could ever do that could make God love you less, because he loves you unconditionally. An ordinary office is trying its best to be life to the full space. And there are physical churches and families and institutions and friendship groups that are life to the full spaces too. The metaphor that Jesus uses in John 10 for a life to the full space is a sheepfold or a sheep pen. Jesus is the shepherd, and unlike the religious leaders in John 9, he knows each sheep by name, and they know him. He never seeks to use us for some other purpose. He offers relationship and closeness. He smells of his sheep. As was common for sheepfolds in his day, the shepherd lays himself down across the entryway at night and becomes the gate, the door for the sheep, which means two things. First, no one else can erect doors to keep people out. Jesus is the only door, and he wants you in. Second, if Jesus is the door, if Jesus is lying down across the doorway, he will keep you safe. Not from all suffering, not from all poverty or disease, but from the wolves and the bandits who would love to steal you away, from the religious leaders who come as thieves. I cannot stress enough the difference that this makes to the atmosphere of this community. A people who know they are safe and loved will start to lay fear aside and learn to take care of each other. So smile, breathe deeply. You're not in contempt space any longer. Jesus has laid himself down across the doorway. He knows you by name. You are safe, and you can have life to the full. The Greek word which we translate as to the full is defined according to my lexicon as abundant, exceeding some number or measure or rank or need, over and above, more than is necessary, super added, exceeding abundantly, lavish, superior, extraordinary, surpassing, preeminent, of prodigious dimensions. Well, you get the idea. This isn't just life contrasted with the death of the contempt space. This is exceedingly abundant life, lavish life, life of prodigious dimensions, with joy and love and grace thrown in. This is life with a purpose and a community. and the presence of Jesus now. This is life without shame. This is life that death cannot conquer. Life that lasts forever and ever and ever. Walter Brueggemann puts it like this: it is our propensity in society and in church to trust the narrative of scarcity. That's what makes us so greedy and exclusive and selfish and coercive. But the narrative of abundance persists among us. Those who depart the system of anxious scarcity become the history makers in the neighborhood. I mean, put it this way: if you are a cup and the life Jesus offers is water, then hold yourself under his living stream and be filled over and over and over till the table gets sacked. You're not a drain pipe that God will use to bless others. You're a reservoir that God will fill till you overflow, splashing, splashing, splashing into the floodplain. Like a solar panel, you are to absorb the sunshine of God's love and feed the grid with your energy. Like a happy sheep, your wool can clothe the naked, your bleat can cheer the hillside. This is what I came for, says Jesus. I came that you may have life and have it to the full.